It's Flip City Magazine, The Parodies, Special Edition, with savage send-ups of The Walking Dead, Star Trek Picard, Stranger Things, The Mandalorian, Guardians of the Galaxy, and more from the first 4 years of Flip City. Get Flip City The Parodies free when you subscribe in print at flipcitymag.com. The world's best satire magazine, and never, ever woke.
Space. A vast, dark void in need of exploration. Yeah, right! Space isn't about exploring, it's about getting rich. What's the fastest way to get rich? By collecting the splinters of Yggdrasil for glorious bounty. Too bad it's also the quickest way to get dead. Join Mistress Craven and her crew of scantily clad scoundrels as they sail the stars in search of the splinters of Yggdrasil. Magic, mayhem, and miniskirts in space. Go to albogrizzly.com to learn more. See you soon, matey.
I like these cars.
Home, little moments before the storm.
Money comes big. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not small. No, no, no.
Kiss my entire.
Oh, my darling, not 3 times on the ceiling if you want me.
Your coffee, sir.
Thanks, beautiful.
You're welcome.
This is a man's world.
Wow! Welcome to the coffee shop, boys and girls. I'm your host, Doc Blaylock, artist, writer, all-around nice guy. Holy cow. What a week it's been. We had an executive meeting backstage and determined that all of us are in a horrible mood, which, by the way, usually means a pretty damn good show. Am I right, Tanner?
Absolutely right. 100%.
We do our
Always
best.
right.
We do our best work when we're fucking just.
Blah.
We're joined, of course, by the substitute for Kitty from Flip City, who better have a damn good excuse. This is 3 weeks in a row. Christy, what the hell?
Oh, she's muted.
She's muted. Just leave her that way.
That took a long time to find that unmute button. See, I mean, that's how shitty I feel. Yeah, Kitty refused to panhandle. See, I'm on my corner. I'm panhandling.
Oh.
And it's
What's
because
up,
the
Sketchbook?
cat's the CFO.
Yes,
We decided that backstage.
he's the chief executive officer in charge of being grumpy.
Yes.
So
Grumpy
he spreads
Kitty.
he spreads the grumpy.
Let's see.
Show that face.
Let's
Look
see
at this
how
face.
grumpy he is.
Look at
Look,
this
see-
face.
Oh, shitty kid.
He's like, put me down, you heartless wench.
Yep. It's like, just pet me.
Yeah. Good to see everybody in the chat. Abo's here. Stephen B is here. Rex was
B,
here. I don't know if
Abo.
he still is.
Rex,
Good to
maybe.
see
I
you
don't
guys.
know.
Guys.
If you're out there watching, you haven't said hi yet, drop us a hello in the chat so we can acknowledge your presence. Sketchbook is here. Another Wednesday, another work day.
Yeah.
Yes, I am the
Remember
all
that.
around. I am the all around nice guy. Listen, my rule is I will always treat people as well as they will allow me to treat them.
It's the golden rule, you know? It's plain and simple.
I don't think that's quite the golden rule, but
Yeah, close enough.
it's the best I can do. So the meme crop was rather bountiful this week because, hey, Carrie, darling,
Gary,
Hi, Carrie.
how are you?
the left just won't stop doing the easy, slow pitches right over the middle of the plate.
Oh,
I mean, who am I to not knock it out of the ballpark when it
Well,
happens?
you ain't lying. I mean, hey, Mike Walters, how are you?
Hey, Mike, good to see you. No, John will be here shortly. Or not. I mean, he's John.
John. I mean, he does what John does.
John does what John does. He's out there on the hippie coast. You know, they kind of do their own thing as far as time and punctuality.
Ain't that right, Christy?
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
Christy?
and that's the other thing too, if you told him 1 p.m. and did not specify a time zone,
I did. I always do because
Yeah,
I made that
there's
mistake
truth to
early
that.
on. Now, Christy, on the other hand, left me backstage at her show for like ever. She's steadily chatting with the other two panelists. I'm in the back going, let me in. Like I heard whole stories.
I didn't know you had to scroll down. Like, I'm not a producer, fancy producer like Tanner here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Fancy. Yeah, I drink my coffee now with my pinky out. 'Cause I'm a fancy producer.
Wagner is here. He says, Dillard,
Hey,
be right there,
Darren,
Dad.
how are you?
Darren, of course, is John Dillard's agent. I don't know what the fuck that means. Darren, good to see you. Glad you're here. Darren,
Hi,
I fussed at him last week. I said, you know, I play your trailer in regular rotation. The least you could do is show up and say hi during the show. Yeah,
Agent my ass.
now we are going to have Wagner on here before terribly long because he does have a book and sign up
He does.
that he's written, and he did me the courtesy of sending me a free copy of his book that's available on Amazon.com, Captain Steel and Other Short Stories, and it was a good read.
Oh, look who's here.
Well, let him look at him. He just woke up.
Yeah. I see the bedhead.
Excuse me, I've been up for an hour already playing World of Warcraft.
I had to finish this raid before I could come on the stream.
No, I had some quest that was corrupted. It's a whole story.
Oh, man.
Well, we're all about stories.
Did it put you in a mood? I mean, because the three of us are all in a mood. Are you in a
Everybody
mood?
here's in a foul mood.
Foul?
Foul.
Brand new day.
Foul.
When you went to sleep, did God not give you rejuvenated strength this morning?
No. Beyond a certain age, John, it doesn't work that way anymore.
Man, that's what you get for commiserating with the devil.
So eloquent. I love it, John. I love it.
Captain Steel and
Hell
other
with you
stories with
guys.
Aaron Wagner. With a cover by John Dillard. That's the one I got. It's available on Amazon. And it was a good read. We're going to have old Wagner on here maybe next week. I don't know. To talk about his book.
I did sleep. I slept too much, dude. Okay. I'm not even bullshitting you. I went to bed yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 o'clock. Dude, I haven't been to bed that early in a long time. Like, I went to bed at 10 o'clock in the evening. Did not, the entire night, didn't wake up once. It was amazing. I got up at 7? I was like, I woke up almost like in a panic, right? Because it was light outside the window. And I was like, did nobody wake me up? I got to take the kids to school, right? But no, it was 7. I still had a half an hour to, get myself together before I had to take them to school. Oh, it was great. I didn't know what happened.
Yeah, those rare times when a good night's sleep happens to me, no one's more surprised than I am. But now, routinely, we get up around here between 4:30 and 5 every morning. It's just something I've done all my adult life. It's the best time of the day. It's quiet. It's peaceful. You get to enjoy the sunrise. You ease into the day instead of people sleeping till the alarm, run, get a shower, get dressed, and run out the door. Fuck that. Sketchbook says, how are the kiddos and the little lady, John?
Oh, they're doing great. Today's dressed like a cowboy day at school. So she did that.
But it used to be that when I would wake up at that early hour, it was like, oh, this is going to be a great day. Yeah, not no mo. Now I wake up and it's a head to toe inventory of all the things that hurt, that aren't functioning correctly. It's a stagger to the coffee machine and just throw your face into the pot.
See, my grandma died, who is still alive, God bless her soul. She got you an age. Okay, she's got you by at least 5 years. I mean, she's 96 years old.
At least five.
Oh no!
And every night when she goes to bed, she says, "I'll see you in the morning, God willing." Right? I said, "Okay, Good night, Grandma." And then she wakes up and she said, "What a great day! What a beautiful day! God has blessed the world." Why aren't you like that, Doc?
Because, John,
is it the cigarettes?
It's the cigarettes. It's the miles that I have put on this carcass. And we were hanging out backstage, and I had one of my
grandma got miles. All right, she lived through the Depression, and she was a seamstress in a factory for 50 years.
I had one of my patented coughing fits, and Tanner was trying to restrain himself from laughing. I said, no, feel free to laugh. It's self-inflicted, so I take all the ridicule. I take all the responsibility. So now is your life as your military background? No, it's because of the military.
The military will put some miles on you.
Yeah. And is still responsible for a lot of things.
I didn't know that you were career military. I thought that you did that stuff in private practice.
No, I did 8 years active duty and then went into.
I was career military.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were military. Anyway,
wait, so you're still complaining about those 8 years?
No. What I'm saying is there are certain things that you pick up in the military that never go away. One was my love of coffee.
Chlamydia. Yeah. I'll be quiet.
John's on fire.
John, you are on it.
I picked up. Now I don't know if this was the case for you, Tanner.
Hey, Doc,
but it took me a while to learn how to. I had to learn how to eat like a human being again.
Yeah.
slow down and actually eat a meal instead of just throwing the food down your throat. Ah, because that one stays around for a while. And Sketchbook served also in the chat, so he knows. Wagner served, kinda. He was a submariner. They kind of have a cushy life.
Hey, there's no Marine but a submariner or something like that. I've been told from a submariner.
John is desperately working on that hair. It's too late, John. We've already seen you.
I know I got a hat around here somewhere.
So Mike asked, Doc, Tanner, so guys, what are your ranks?
Now, hold on. Before we answer, you're going to understand his answer. You won't understand mine because I was Navy. But go ahead, Tanner.
I was a sergeant first class.
See how easy that is? My rank, Mike, was HM2. Got that? Now go figure that out.
HM2. So you were health mechanic, second class.
Get out of here.
It sounds foreign. Like HM sounds like Her Majesty, right? Like
Her
HMS.
Majesty.
That's a no. HM stands for hospitalman or hospital corpsman, petty officer second class. So you can refer to a petty officer as petty officer second class or their actual rating, which my rating was hospitalman. So it's HM2. Or you can just say, hey, Doc, and we'll go, yeah.
Hiccup master, too.
But the short
So you
version
invited me on this show a while back. What is the significance of this show? And why is it special guest John Dillard? What's that all about?
Well, because you're a minor celebrity because of all the hate you attract everywhere you go.
And you're special.
Wagner, remind me to kick your ass later. John Dillard, boys and girls, is an artist. He's a creator. He's a writer. He's a friend. He's my favorite asshole.
Voice actor.
He does a wonderful
Comedian.
show daily called Am I the Asshole Reviews. And it's a fun show. Even when I can't make it on the panel, I like just turning it on and listening. Last night was kind of extra bizarre for me. Some of those were kind of weird.
Why?
Because some of them were so non-controversial, like the Bridezilla one. It's just, obviously.
How is that non-controversial?
Obviously, the girl was.
I had to usher people away from that topic because they wanted to debate it.
No, they just wanted to they kept echoing the same thing. Basically, it was this girl was having her whole guests were to wear white. And she the bride got into a squabble with this one chick. So the chick showed up wearing a gold strapless, backless evening gown. And so she had security throw her the fuck out because she obviously did it despite her.
That was not, no.
Yes, that was exactly what happened.
No.
And
this lady was kicked out of the wedding party.
Right.
She, and like, not just that, kicked out of the wedding entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not like fuck you. You're not. It's just the lady, the bride.
That's what
right?
kind of something right there.
The bride was like, okay, this is what's going to be happening. Here are my bridesmaids. Everybody's going to be wearing black. But it was an over 18 only party. No kids allowed. But she had her niece in the bridal party. Her niece is 16. So she's getting the bridal party dress, right? The black gown to go with the rest of the bridesmaids.
Mm-hmm.
She was a bridesmaid. Well, the cousin took offense to this. Well, I thought this was over 18. The cousin is also a member of the bridal party. He's like, well, my daughter is over 18. Why, she can be a bridesmaid, right? She's like, no, but your daughter is your daughter. She's not my daughter. This is my niece. She's going to be in the bridal party. This made the cousin feel some sort of way. She's like, fuck you then, right? So later on, when she was trying on the gown, the bridal gown, she was like, that makes you look fat. You look fat. And she's like, bitch, fuck you. You're out of the wedding. You're not even invited, right? You're done. Kicked her ass out. So then family started calling her and she's like, okay, you can come as a guest to the wedding. Now the guests are all required to wear white, right? So that one cousin and that cousin only was the only person to show up, not only not in white, but in a very, very showy gold glitter dress.
And so the bride
the
said,
main problem was that she's way more attractive than the bride.
That's an assumption. Because
So
we
he's
had
like-
a photo
she goes
of
over. Yeah, she goes over to her wedding planner and is like, kick her ass out and keep her out. Make sure she don't even hang around. Make sure she don't come back in. So she was catching a lot of shit from her family for like kicking out her cousin for showing up wearing basically like Scarlett O'Hara. She showed up like showing everybody out.
And that was not controversial to me. It's the bride's wedding. You're there being a spoiler. Get the fuck out. Let me address this real quick. Yes, Tanner, in fact, outranks me. However, Hospital Corpsman maintain an ability that no other rating or job has in the military. We can relieve the commanding officer of duty. And we're the only one that can override an officer's order. So, you pick your battles. Now, Darren, I want to address Darren. My rank was STS2/SS. First of all, no submariner will ever fail to put their submarine service qualified SS at the end of it. Never mind the other connotations that SS has. But back in the day, Darren, it was just ST2 when I served. So quit trying to be special.
Like, if you have a problem with the connotations that SS has, why are you wearing that shirt? Looks to me like a dog whistle.
Wow.
When Kiss would play in Germany, they had a different logo, and it's the only time that. So if you ever get a Kiss album that has different S's on it, it's rare. It means it was published in German.
Is it valuable?
Yeah, they are. They're quite collectible. Yeah, because of the twin S's, they were like, yeah, you can't do that in Germany. Okay, whatever. So, John, I want to talk to you for just a moment here.
Okay.
Sketchbook, fuck you, and fuck you. Now, I won't say John's property that he's most known for is the buckler, which is a wonderful concept, which I'm going to let him tell us about here in just a moment. But of late, your notoriety has been because of your affiliation or your work on a project called the Golden Patriot, the Mighty Golden Patriot, which for whatever reason has generated the ire of certain individuals. Now, we're not going to do the blood sports drama feud shit here.
Okay.
The only thing I'm interested in, we played this trailer, and we're going to play it for you now. Tanner, go ahead and run that for us.
Okay. And we're off.
Lieutenant Rogers, this is a time-sensitive critical mission. You must pre-see the Nazi force and secure the artifact, then get to the extraction point before they arrive. Failure to do so will result in being hopelessly outnumbered.
It's time we take the fight.
latest news we have of the Allied invasion of northwestern France is still in escalation from the Associated
For fulfilling the side of God.
A crisis along the whole North African coastline, the Allies can strike simultaneously.
Awesome stuff. So Tree Goblins in the house. Our friend Anthony Romano, Dark Gift Comics. Good to see you, buddy. Anthony, I'll be calling you about 3:30 to ship those mugs. So be standing by your phone. So, John, how did you end up on this project? I've never known in all the times we've talked. How did this come about?
Through Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was contacted by Anthony because he wanted to know if I was available because he had heard that Yellow Flash was looking for a colorist for a project, and I was like, okay, I do colors sometimes. I'm not bad at colors, pretty good. So I said, yeah, let him know, and I got into a backstage hangout, like an interview sort of thing with Yellow Flash talking about, and he started bringing up images that I had colored, and he was like, now who drew these? And I was like, oh, I drew those. And he was like, oh, this is all you. I was like, yeah, all of these here. I didn't do a lot of coloring projects for people. I mainly just do line art for people. So all the ones, the examples of that he had that were me coloring, were my stuff. And he was like, oh, I didn't know you did this. Would you be willing to work on a project? Like draw? I was like, well, absolutely, of course. So then from there, we got into talks about what his ideas were and that sort of thing and what I could do. And he seemed to like my Buckler style the most, my gritty kind of, a lot of drop shadows, a lot of blacks, a lot of stark contrast kind of things. And he wanted to bring that look to this project, which would otherwise be like the inspiration for it was like the Sentai, right? Like the Power Ranger style.
Yeah.
But he wanted to make it look more visceral, more impactful. If instead of, I don't know if you've ever seen the TV show, The Power Rangers, but everything kind of happens.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
This little phenomenon called the Power Rangers.
Well, some people it just completely passed by because they just weren't in that age bracket, But
I mean, I was aging out of it, but I still know what it is,
Right. But it was like, if you've seen the show, like people would get punched, but the punches would never connect. Everything was really for kids and everything. But he wanted it to be more ground and pound, more visceral. And he thought that my art style would work well with that. And I was like, oh yeah, absolutely, I can do that. So that's how it started.
Now, a little known fact, John, is you're not really a big comic book geek fan.
Is that a little known fact?
Yes, it is. Which I always found fascinating because I remember I asked you at a backstage once, well, then how in the world did you get into this? So tell folks kind of how you fell into this world of these.
I've been drawing and doing artwork in some manner my whole life, mainly as a hobby. Sometimes I would do it for money, but it was mainly as a hobby. But this guy, I was a truck driver, and I used to be at this distribution center that you would see the same people every day, right? And I would drive in, and one day I was wearing a T-shirt, and it was like a Batman or something like that. And the guy's telling me, "Hey, do you like comic books?" And I was like, "Not really, kind of. I like comic book related stuff." Because when I was younger, we were real poor. We had this place that was like it belonged to a railroad in and it was unclaimed property. They would sell. And sometimes there would be a book section. And that's where I would get comic books because they were super cheap. They were 25 cents, 50 cents for a comic book. But I would never get sequential books. It would always just be number 15 of this book or number 27 of that book. I was never able to follow a story. I was mainly I look at the pictures.
Yeah.
Then my dad was like, I know you like comic books. And he got me this set for my birthday when I was 8 or 9. And it was the 4-part miniseries, the Texiera Sabretooth.
Oh, I remember that.
The red cover that opened up and it had the 2 O's cut out. And there was that beautiful picture on the inside of Sabretooth like that. It was fucking dope. And I was like, wow. And that was the first time I actually had a full, complete story. And I was like, that's super cool. But after that, never again. Because we didn't have any comic book shops around us. There was one in downtown Riverside, but I was a kid. I had a skateboard. It was really far. It was like 5 miles. I'm like, it's kind of far for a skateboard.
Right.
So maybe once every couple of months I might take a trip that far down, and then still I would pick up whatever visually I thought was cool. I never followed comic stories. I just bought mainly on the cover. That's what I bought. I bought if the cover looked cool, it was like Ghost Rider. It looked fucking cool. Because when I was growing up at that time, my age, the Texiera, which I found out later on, who did the Sabretooth and the Ghost Rider, was what I liked. That was what I was attracted to. Because he had that super wacky, exaggerated muscles.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Always the worm's eye view, up the crotch shot. You know what I mean? Look, big fucking muscular guys.
Yeah,
I love that shit. But I never had a love for comics because I never was able to actually delve into comics. I didn't have the opportunity.
Right. So then, how did you wind up doing what you're doing now? How did we get here?
That guy I was telling you about at my job. He asked if I like comics. I was like, I kind of. He's like, because he knew that I draw, because they hired me in his business to do a mural, the Christmas mural, the main office area. So I went and did that. And I'm like, after I got out of work, showed back up and started doing that all night long. And he was like, you should do a comic. I was like, okay, let's do a comic. Why not? I got nothing to do. I just have a regular ass job, right? I got spare time. And I started looking up on YouTube how to make comics. And YouTube does this auto roll, right? When you finish a video, another video will play automatically.
Right.
And fell asleep watching these videos. And I wake up and I hear this guy and he's talking about comics, and it ends up being your boy Zach, Richard C. Meyer. And I guess it was a related video to comics, and he was like talking about all the things you shouldn't do, things that suck about comics, how these people suck. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't want to make mistakes, right? So let me watch this. So I'm watching his videos on how not to make comics, I'm like, okay, cool. Then he starts talking about this other person named Captain Cummings. And that's where I really get into it, because I start following Captain Cummings, and he's really talking about all this stuff in comics that's going bad. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with everything he's talking about. And after a while, they bring in Richard C. Meyer, talks about my friend who actually draws comics is going to start doing a YouTube channel named Ethan Van Sciver. And then Ethan starts doing a channel, and I watch his stuff because I drive at night, right? I drive all late at night, and occasionally he'll pop on and start doing his little tutorials late at night, right? And it was cool because you could ask him questions, because there was not that many people in the chat at the time, maybe 100 or something, and you could ask questions or late at night, and nobody was watching. I think one time I was watching, there was like 12 people watching, so I was really able to
wow.
What if I have this problem with the comic? What do I do? Because I'm trying to figure out how to make a comic here, And he would answer. And so after that, after watching these videos and kind of interacting, your boy Zach started putting out ideas about wanting to make a comic book. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool. And then he started asking his chat, and I would start submitting fan art on his Twitter to the ideas he was talking about.
Right.
And that's kind of how I got into it, because right when that happened, that guy that I was going to make a comic book with dipped. His mother-in-law passed away. He had to move because he was living with her with his wife. So he moved up to the mountains.
Right.
And I was like, oh, well, there goes. That's too far to be like hanging out, because he wanted to do a podcast and all that,
Yeah.
Like, well, can't do a daily podcast if I got to drive up to the mountains every fucking day. Sorry,
Right.
So our partnership kind of fell apart. But I found this online community called Comicsgate, and that's where I hung out since.
Yeah. And in spite of all the factions and fractions and fractures and whatever, we're all kind of still here. At what point in that sequence did the Buckler come into being?
Well, as I was hanging out with these people in the chat, I was just watching, right? There was this guy named Pixel Trader. And we used to watch this show. After about a year in, this guy named Mike S. Miller started doing a show called Drawn and Quartered, where he would get a bunch of his friends, former pros, to go and have a 2-hour drawing competition. Well, this guy, Pixel Trader, was like, hey, I want to do a show, like a supplement to that show called the Drawn and Quartered Fan Edition, where you get all of the guys that draw that are not former pros, and we'll all compete, and we'll draw the same things that they draw. right?
Yeah.
See how that works. And he invited me on. So I was like, oh, I guess let's start, because I was doing videos on YouTube, little tutorials how to draw, but I hadn't done any live streaming. So I had to figure out how to live stream. So I went on that show, one, and it was on that show where I met another creator named Cross Comics, Rick Piper of Cross Comics.
Our buddy Rick.
Yeah, Rick. And I got it pretty close with Rick. I immediately took a liking to him because he was very, very genuine, very emotions on his sleeve, genuine kind of guy. And so I started hanging out with him, and we started doing live streams together and all that. And during one of these live streams, he was talking about his character called the Canadian Shield. Big tank of a guy, you know, I think he's 7 feet tall, 500 pounds, and he's a world breaker. Like, he could rip a mighty oak out of the ground and chuck it into space, you know. And I was thinking,
like Rob Liefeld's Captain America.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, so we were just messing around. We weren't even doing anything in particular. We were just messing around. And I was drawing a sidekick for the Canadian Shield. And it was like some Native American, because the Canadian Shield's a Native American. So I made him a Native American as well. I gave him a mohawk, you know, and a stupid costume. Kind of like Arthur from The Tick. Like, he's like a really dumb kind of sidekick. And I thought to myself, what's another name for a shield? A shield, like the Canadian Shield, right? Because there would be this ongoing joke that the Canadian Shield didn't actually have a shield. That was just his name. He just didn't have a shield. But I was like, my character is going to have a shield. But what's a tiny shield? And I looked up Google. What is a tiny shield called, right? A buckler. I was like, okay, so that's the name of the guy. And so I drew the character. And then I was like, it was a nothing. I've done this 100 times already on live streams, drawing a character essentially digitally, right? Crumpling it up and throwing it in the trash, never to visit it again. But I didn't that day for some reason. And then the next morning when I hopped on, you know, to start drawing, the heat was still on my screen. And I was like, let me mess around with this character a little bit, see if I can actually make him cool. And that's how I developed the buckler. Was I had this story that wasn't really working out. And I took everything I liked about that and put it on the buckler. And it fit. Nice. And I was like, ooh, this is good. And everything I seemed to throw at this character
stuck.
Just seemed to click. You know, I was like, yeah, this is actually good. This
firing on all cylinders. Okay.
Yeah. This when I was like, I was sitting there and you see those little montages, you know, where people are like, yeah. You know, like I was getting it with this character, and I was like, this is it. This is the guy. This is the guy I want to write about. I want to draw this. This is the guy. That's how the buckler came.
And he's a fucking interesting character too. And you know, I try to not put my counselor hat on when you talk about your character. Because
I got issues, all right? I'm working through them.
I'm getting that thing on my computer again that drives me nuts. It says low Wi-Fi signal. I am hard plugged directly into the modem. What the hell, StreamYard? Stop doing that. Not on Wi-Fi. What the hell? The buckler is not a good guy. He's a very bad guy with a unique power set. Tell us a little bit about him.
The buckler as a character he started off as, you ever heard of that character, that guy in San Francisco named Phoenix?
Yeah.
Jones.
Phoenix Jones.
Phoenix Jones. He was like he was a dude. I don't know if he's autistic or something, but he would go around and he'd pretend to be a superhero. He'd go around, break up bar fights, help little old ladies across the street, but at the same time, he would wear a costume.
Right.
And pretend to be a superhero. Well, that's the character of the buckler. That's what he did. He, you know, went around town being a do-gooder.
Uh-huh.
And he really looked up to and idolized that Canadian Shield guy because he himself is a bad person. He doesn't have the altruistic values in him, and he feels that there's something broken in him because he doesn't feel those things naturally. And this is something that I put in personally into this character because this is I don't have, yes, I know, Doc. I don't have that empathy that people have
Oh, you don't
just
say.
in general for things, and I don't get excited about stuff.
It's called autism.
It's not. No. But like, for instance, when my kid was born, in movies you see, oh, they immediately instantly fall in love with their kid. For me, it was a gradual thing. Like, oh yeah, cool, baby's born. It's a very cute baby, right? But it wasn't until maybe like my love for the kid didn't.
She had to grow on you.
She had to grow on me, you know. I would see my buddies, right? He got this phone call from his wife because his wife went to the doctor. She wanted to go. She had a thing where she didn't want people with her, and they found she's like, oh, she called him up. Oh, we're having a boy, right? And he was like, very excited about it, like woo, like I'm excited. And I'm looking at him like, you're like hamming it up. You're overreacting. You know? Like I get it. I get that it's a good thing, but have your emotions really been taken over and you can't fucking control yourself? The fuck, you know?
This is all an affectation.
Yeah.
People don't actually love their children.
So because of that, because I feel like they're hamming it up, or you're putting on a show. Putting on a show for who? Me? I'm the only one here. Because of that, I put that stuff into the character. I wanted to make it relatable to me. Because I heard this thing a long time ago where somebody said, if you're telling the story and you're trying to make this character relatable or whatever, or don't try to make a character that you think other people would relate to. Just make a character that you would relate to. And there are many people out there like you, even though you don't suspect it.
Correct.
And that seems to be the case. Because people that read the story or hear about the character resonate with him.
Yep.
Even though they don't want to admit they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because he is kind of he's like, he feels that people ham things up and overreact.
Well, he was rejected by his hero.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, just fuck it. I'll be a bad guy.
Right. Because basically his whole outfit, his getup, his whole gimmick was, I want to be like the Canadian Shield, my buddy's property. And I told him, I want to use your character. He's like, yeah, go for it. It'll just be an alternate universe. My character would never be mean to anybody. So, and also he's perfect and can never lose. So if anything happens, I just say it's an alternate universe. I said, okay. So I brought him into my universe and he comes in, and because in an attempt to show up and show out so that he can be picked as a sidekick, he gets somebody hurt. And so the Canadian Shield, the hero, gives him this really severe dressing down and tells him, you're done. I don't want to see you playing superhero. And if I catch you playing superhero, I'm coming for you. You're finished. And he's heartbroken, right? And while this is happening, he has an audience, unbeknownst to him, and they're laughing at him. And he has a mental breakdown, snaps, and just murders that person in cold blood. And runs away. Runs out of town, out of the country, to a different country. And leaves Canada. And that's basically where the story starts. And I already have a couple of different stories going on where it chronicles that instance, what happens when he decides to come back to his hometown of Winnipeg, Canada, and kind of reclaim what he feels is what is owed to him.
Right.
And there's also another story I'm working on where when he was away for 4 years down in Brownsville, Texas, how he went from being just an average, extraordinary, superpowered being to being a force that can contend with almost any hero in the world.
Right.
Because he does become very powerful.
Right, right. And I'm looking forward to getting my copy of Canadian Tussle. There was a previous book.
Anthony told me yesterday that the last batch of those books should be getting shipped out very soon.
Very nice. Well, I backed digitally because that's all you were offering on opening night. So I was like, yeah, I'm in. So looking forward to getting mine. But there was a story you published previous to Canadian Tussle, correct?
Yes.
All right. And
what was that?
That's called that was the Buckler Book 1, Ascendancy.
And is that the one that explains how he levels up?
No,
that's in Man from Brownsville.
That's a Man from Brownsville, and that's not out yet.
Okay, all right. However, you can follow some excerpts of Man from Brownsville over on Dillard's channel, where he's got almost an audiobook.
It's like it's like 2 episodes of a visual novel, just kind of getting the Man from Brownsville started. That story.
Nice.
Right.
That entire story is not going to be in a book. That's going to be on YouTube.
Correct. And I love that, by the way. I like the diverse platforms for the Buckler. It's a good property.
I made sure that if you're interested in how he became, because put it this way, very simply, the Buckler, his base power set, he has the power of 3 men, the strength of 3 men. Exactly 3 men that are the same height, weight, and build as him. Mm-hmm. Okay, not like 3 docs, like 3 Dillards. You know what I mean? So the Buckler he's 6 foot. He's 6'5". He's 280 pounds. A brick house. You know what I mean? He's a big dude. So he's 3 of them. He got those powers through an unfortunate anabolic and metabolic steroid accident. He was actually, when the Olympics were in Winnipeg, there was somebody there who was peddling steroids. He tried to stop them, being a normal person. He got his ass whooped, thrown in the back of a van. They were going to go kill him and bury him somewhere. But they got into a high-speed chase with the police. They took a header into the bay, and he was just swimming and passed out in a concoction of just liquid steroids. And when he finally came out of his coma, he was very strong. So
absolutely as believable as any other superhero origin.
Thank you. So I could have said it was green ooze, whatever.
Right. Now he, again, though, not a hero at this point. Having been rejected, he becomes kind of a crime boss when he discovers he is, for all intents and purposes in his world, nigh invulnerable. Mm-hmm. And I can do whatever the hell I want to do.
He becomes a crime boss solely because he needs money to do what he needs to do. Not because he has aspirations of power or being...
Right.
He just doesn't... He has aspirations of not being told what to do.
Right, exactly.
And if you have the strength of 3 men, you can very easily live the life of not being told what to do.
Exactly. You can achieve not being told what to do. And he's got I'm fascinated by his best friend and high school friend, Moose, who is just almost like the Buckler's voice of reason that kind of keeps him in play, and is his right-hand man. Great dynamic and a great way to rein in your own character who may or may not be a sociopath.
Right. And I did that. I used myself as Moose in that because I had a friend named Matt.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the sociopath.
No, of course not. No, my friend Matt was the sociopath. He was the guy that you would go someplace with, and you knew if he got some drink in him, you had to get him out of there, or you were all going to get into trouble.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we all know that guy.
But
look at the size of that pussy.
Yeah. So I'm the person that's like, I'll try to guide the scenario to the way, but if you're making an active choice to go out there and do something bad, I ain't gonna stop you. I'll say, hey, not a bad idea, Matt. That's not a good idea, right? You don't do that. He's like, fuck you. I'll be like, no, I tried my hardest.
Yeah. You can see I broke my back trying to stop it.
So that's what Moose is. He's telling this is what you should do, Buckler. And matter of fact, he'll set things up so that we don't get in those situations.
Okay.
But when the situation does happen, Moose is like, well, I tried to tell you that was a bad idea, but I'm not stopping you. And I got your back.
And for whatever reason, a friendship develops between him and the Buckler, where the Buckler doesn't kill him. He tolerates from Moose behaviors he would not, or lip from Moose that he wouldn't take from anybody else. He allows him to be that voice of semi-reason, of restraint. But in this arc, John, kind of to quote George Lucas, a poetic rhyme happens in that the Buckler attracts someone who wants to be his sidekick. Is that something? Is that spoiler material or no?
No.
Tell us about her.
Yeah, he has a pseudo sidekick. Call her that, but she's basically she's a girl that got some daddy issues. She got some issues with running into guys that aren't exactly the most protective kind of people, and she becomes infatuated with the Buckler. She works as he owns his front, if you can call it that. It's not really a front, but his storefront that he owns is called Buckler's Bait and Tackle.
Right
next to the Winnipeg Lakes. And she's the cashier. She kind of does the money penny kind of thing. She will get things done for him. Now, he doesn't want her involved too much because she's new and she ain't Moose. He trusts Moose. He has other henchmen. He has Bull, right? But Bull's kind of a knucklehead. He's kind of a new guy, ex-military, too gung-ho,
Right.
So he has the skills, but he's also very much in love with that I'm a mercenary kind of lifestyle.
Right.
Whereas his buddy Moose, he can trust regardless, no matter what. Now, he gives her some small tasks, but she becomes infatuated with him, and because of that, she wants to impress him. She wants to help out. She wants to be involved. She just loves the allure of how he is a guy that can just take what he wants and does.
Right.
And she ends up going out, and in her thought process, she's going to be helpful. So she starts fucking with other bad guys in town. And doing it wearing a costume that looks like his and calling herself Bucklette. And she gets herself into a real fucking big pickle where she picks on somebody who's just a bit above her pay grade.
A little too much for her.
And she gets her ass handed to her, literally.
Yeah.
Pieces of it, anyway. She gets so jacked up so that she needs severe psychological and medical intervention.
Right.
And because of that incident, that leads into the Buckler Canadian Tussle book. What the Buckler has to go do to square what just happened to his but that he just learned is apparently his sidekick.
Right. Now, which leads to this kind of strange morality that he does have, in that once you're in his circle, you're under his protection. He's not going to, you can't just with impunity fuck with his people. He's going to come after you if you do that. And that is the story in Canadian Tussle, correct?
Right. Yeah. But it kind of, because in the story that I also am working on called The Ballad of Bucklette, is you get to see that it really almost it showcases how much he relies on his own intimidation and the way that he's settling in to how he's handling problems is really cementing his villainy, because when it comes to her and what they did to her, he treats this almost like a pimp and hoe scenario.
Right.
Like, you fucked up. I'm going to get you out of this situation that you got yourself into, but now you owe me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that kind of dysfunctional, gross relationship.
She's in his pocket.
She thrives in. And so
it's what she wanted. It's what she wanted. Yeah. It's what she craved. Yeah. And so anyway, I suppose that leads to the obvious question: is the Buckler kind of your go-to? Is that what if you had your druthers and you had the money to back it up, would the Buckler be your thing?
Yes,
absolutely. Dude, hands down.
the stories that I want to do for the Buckler, they're going to take me a while to do, current circumstances. And if I had the ability, I would just do, this would be my full, I'd get my coffee in the morning and be like,
Buckler time.
Buckler time. You know, let's do this shit. You know, that would be great. That would be
fantastic. All right. We lost Tanner. Rest in peace, Tanner. It was good to know you. Oman, Pani Mani Mu. He did that right. Tanner.
Yeah. Yes.
Take over for a second. I need to warm up my coffee.
Oh, okay.
All eyes on Tanner. Take a look.
Oh. There we go. Yeah, here I am. All embiggenated. I'm taking over. No, I'm just kidding.
Now, see, I thought we were taking a break.
Chrissy's like, I didn't know we were all going to be here just to talk about Dillard. Jeez.
No, I'm actually really fascinated with your Buckler character. I'm like, oh shit! Now I'm gonna, I'm gonna have to start liking comic books. Damn it!
You don't have to like comics. You just gotta like the Buckler. That's all.
So, when are you planning on releasing some of these stories that you were talking about? Are they in the works right now?
Yeah, they're in the works right now.
Okay.
I have a story called Skeletons. Like I have the Ballad of Bucklet, and that's not a long story. That's a 24-page story.
Okay.
But I only have about 6 pages of that finished.
I got you.
There's the Buckler Book 2, this segregation, and that's going to be a big one. And that one I only have about maybe 10 pages finished, but that's going to be a 65-page book.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So that's not close to being finished. The Skeletons, I got 4 pages done. That's only a 12-page story, but it's only 4 pages done. So
do you think you'll make like an omnibus or anything of that nature?
When it's all done, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
But like I'm going to be putting out a catch-up campaign.
Okay.
Basically, it's going to be everything the Buckler so far.
Nice.
Because a lot of people are asking about it, especially because now I got more followers now, and they're asking, what is the Buckler? Where can I get it? The answer is nowhere. So I got to make it available somewhere, you know. So I'll do a campaign, which is basically just a catch up. So it'll be the very first Ash Can, which is called The Buckler Descent, which is the story of how he became a villain.
Okay.
And the Buckler Book 1 Ascendancy, the story of his return to Winnipeg. Then the little 24-page book called The Temple of Polar Twilight, which is the adventure of how he got this magical totem that is used in Book 1. And then the Buckler Canadian Tussle, which is
nice.
The cartoony beat 'em up, very X-rated book, very hard R X-rated book that Doc is going to be getting soon. So I'll put those in those 4 stories into one and just release that as like that would be like the catch-up book. You know?
Right. This is the essential Buckler. John, I'm going to shift gears here for you. I want to ask 2 questions to you, and I've asked other creators the same thing. There's artists, there's writers, and there's writer-artists. People that do it all. You're the writer and artist on Buckler, and you had a lot of the writing duties on Mighty Golden Patriot.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that, or what are your thoughts on, does being an artist make you a better writer, and vice versa, being a writer make you a better artist as far as sequential storytelling?
Yes, it does. Not because just, you know, by proxy it does, but it just when you're drawing the story, when you're a comic book artist, a lot of the story is you. It's not the writing. You and again, depending on how involved the writer is, normally, and I've worked on quite a few different projects already with people that are writers.
Right.
I would say that I have the ability now to say, normally, a lot of the story is left up to you as the artist. Mm-hmm. So you have to take the people on the trip, right? You have to, you're the guide, you're the chauffeur.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, you have to get really, really involved and be really thoughtful about storytelling. So just being an artist by itself, just the virtue of the job, you become a better storyteller.
Agreed. So that segues into my question to you that I've asked other creators to share their insights. Let's say somebody's under the sound of our voice right now, like you were back in the day when you were first diving into this, and they have a modicum of talent writing and or storytelling and or drawing. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting into this? What are the big things you must do and the things you must not do?
The first thing you should do, the very first thing you should do, is make a finished comic book. And I mean, make a product, don't start a project. Just do the book. And it's probably going to be bad. And that right there is where everybody stops. Nobody wants to do that. They hear that and they go, but not me. No, you too. It's going to suck. It's not going to be good. But just get it out of the way. You have to be able, I do woodworking, right? You have to be able to turn on that saw and cut that piece of wood and make the commitment. Okay, and then you put it down. Shit, it's not the right length. I fucked up.
Yep.
But now you got that confidence behind you. You know how the saw feels when it's in your hand and it's on. You already have that working. Okay, I know that when I make the book, I got to open up this page. I got to do this. I have to format it this way. I got to start making these boxes. The boxes are actually important. So the way the page reads is important. You know all that stuff. So just do the first thing and get it out of the way, because it's not going to be that great.
Right.
It really ain't. Now, the story may be inspired and great, and there are plenty of stories out there that have had crummy execution but still worked. And that's okay. You can always go back and do a redux.
Right.
Whatever.
Right, yeah.
But just get that first book in the bag as fast as possible. Doesn't have to be great, because it's never going to be great. It's not good.
No, it's my first published book in 1994. Sucked a big fat one. It was horrible. And the fact that Tanner came on one day and held up that he found a copy and bought it, I was like, burn it! Fucking burn it! It's horrible.
Dick.
What is the key thing to not do? What's the biggest mistake you can make?
Sorry, I heard that.
Wait until
burn
you.
it? No.
The biggest mistake is to wait until you think you're ready or it's ready.
Correct. You just gotta get out there. This community that we find ourselves in didn't exist when I started in comics back in the 90s. There was no internet, there was no streaming, there was no YouTube. There was a network of us, but it was all long distance phone calls. I remember my long distance bill was more than my mortgage one month from talking to the other creators I was working with. But there were no how-tos, none of that. All you had to go on was you've seen a comic book before. You understand left to right, top to bottom, splash page, double page spreads were kind of a new thing, figuring those out. And I did realize right off the bat, I was penciler for hire. I wasn't doing my own book. And I realized right off the bat that there's good writers and there's bad writers. And I worked with both, a good and a bad. And the bad was horrible. I mean, fucking horrible. And I'm like, well, that's not what the characters should be doing or saying in this particular. And that's when it dawned on me that I could write these things, and I started writing. So I did do my own book, and it got published, and it was all right. But exactly what you said, John, I had to do that big fucking turd burger first to figure out what doesn't work, what shortcuts you don't take. The things you just can't do. And it is a learning curve. Now, flash forward, when I came back in this community, everyone was hitting me with, you got to have a presence online, because people are not going to back your book. They're going to back you. They don't know who you are. They don't know your artwork. No one is sitting around going, gee, I can't wait for the next Doc Blaylock book. They don't know who the fuck you are. So you have to make yourself known. Would you agree?
Absolutely. No, I mean, think of it like this, right? let's say, for instance, Doc, you sell jeans, pants, right?
Mm-hmm.
You sell pants. Now, you sell them out of your garage, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm scared of this analogy.
Okay, but there's a swap meet down the street that people know that over there they sell things, but you don't go over there. You sell out of your garage, and you don't advertise, right? Like,
Right.
You ain't gonna do very well, Doc. You gotta go and take your pants to the swap meet.
Correct. You gotta get in the arena.
If people aren't seeing your pants,
they don't know you're selling them,
right?
Right. Exactly right. And it is a little now for me, John. I don't think I haven't met anyone yet that suffers from the same thing that I do. In that, I can shill and promote. Lots of people have that. I can shill and promote for other people all day long. For myself, I suck at it. I absolutely suck at it. And it's not just the comic book thing. I've told you this before backstage. As a fine artist, the very first solo show that I had at a gallery, I paid somebody to go to the show and be me. Mm-hmm. You go talk to the people because I can't stand talking the money.
Oh, wow. I
just like making the art. Story of my life. Can't get rid of it. But I hate the whole money side of it. I hate the to me it seems like begging, please give me money for my book. Mm-hmm. And yet I don't put that feeling on anybody else, on Tanner or Christy or you or Chris Olette or whoever it may be. It's like, hell yeah, this is a great product, man. Throw some money at it. Come on. For myself, I have a hard time doing that, but it's necessary. You have to do it.
Yeah, it is. And
a necessary evil.
That is. Yeah, I don't even know that it's an evil. It's just being able to realize that your stuff has value. And, asking for that value. It's like the same, people have apprehension to ask for a raise, right?
Right.
Even though they know they're worth it and they feel they deserve more, they're still apprehensive to ask for that raise because you're afraid that whatever goodwill or something that you have will get thrown away by you being.
This outrageous person came in here and demanded a raise. How dare they?
Right. I don't know.
I wonder if that has to do personally with the fact that my first professional experience was in the military. Mm-hmm. You get your paycheck, and if you get a raise, it's because you earned it. You didn't have to ask for it. I wonder if that's where that comes from. I don't know.
Maybe, but it's more difficult. It's difficult doing this because you are the owner of a business when you start to make your own stuff,
right?
And you now have to go out and demand what's yours. You don't get the easy way of being a company man, of just getting your paycheck when you get your paycheck.
Exactly right.
And you have that security of I'm getting paid with all. I essentially have negotiated and earned and deserved for myself. No, you don't get that ever. You always have to be asking.
Yeah, it was as a counselor. I was always self-employed after I got out of the Navy. And thank God for my pit bull secretaries, plural, that I had over the years, because all a client had to say to me was, I'm a little short on cash this week. All right, don't worry about it. That was me. No. My secretary's like, well, you going to pay something. You going to come out that pocket. And I ended up, because I hated asking for the money, of course, getting these wonderful secretaries that would collect for me. But one day out of the week, every Friday, was just free from open to close. You can't afford it? Come on. I'll see you for free. There's no macaroni from the private sector. Correct.
So like,
that's so true.
Another thing. It's like being given a raise or something like that based on merit is something that's not the culture in America. It's not the culture in American capitalism. Like, for instance, a lot of people from Mexico will come over and they'll work. And they'll be really upset because, dude, we did a really good job. And, normally in Mexico, when you do a good job, whatever, you get a bonus or you get a raise. But over here, you don't. you have to ask for it.
Yep.
It's not the culture. So they get disgruntled and they're upset, but it's not, it's a culture thing. And if you're not in that culture, like, you need to adapt to it, because it's not, nothing's gonna, like, no Samaritan's going to come around and just be nice to you because you're feeling hurt. You know what I mean? No, you got it. The problem is here. You have to change the problem here.
And that segues perfectly into saying no such culture exists in indie comics. You're only going to make the money that you make. Ain't nobody going to hand you nothing. And it's a fun world. It can be an unpleasant world. People fight. There's drama. There's, I personally have chosen to just always stay out of that. I don't do any of it. I don't do beef with folks. I've had a couple of people come at me with some of it, and I just tell them, you're barking up the wrong tree. I'm not going to fight you. I'm just here to make comics. That's all I want to do.
I have a question, and it relates to what Matt Barr just said, because like his, nepotism, who you know is real. You have to use it or you'll lose it. I never saw the issue with nepotism. If you got talent and then your kid has talent, why not? Now I get it. If like your kid doesn't have any talent and they're just getting the job because they're your kid,
That's
like, and yeah, well, I don't know. They say the same thing about the Ramitas, oh, you got the job because of nepotism. No, John Romita is fucking awesome.
Ramita Jr. draws the same box for every face.
So
his faces look like just a box.
He's a cartoonist. That's his style. I fucking love it, personally.
Kind of an offshoot of that nepotism is networking. So like, surround yourself with other creators who you get along with, who you can work with. I've had people ask me, can you do this for my campaign? Sure, absolutely. I do that. I've asked John and Matt Barr and some other people, would you hook me up with something for my campaign? And they do. They're very kind with their time because we help each other. So the networking part of this is a big deal. Hey, Bone, what's up, buddy? Good to see you.
The Cuberts fucking rock. Okay, that whole family is just
exactly right, Matt.
Talent incarnate.
Yeah, they got in line twice for the talent, especially old Senior. His World War II, his Sergeant Rock stuff. Get the fuck out of here, man. That's some of the
I
best
literally
stuff.
have it hanging up right now in my home. So I'll go to bat for Joe.
Now, John, once you did get into kind of knowing a little bit of the comic book world, as you just commented on Ramita Jr., who are, other than Mark Texiera, who are the people that you've seen their work and you went, damn, that's some good shit?
Well, probably, and I didn't know this at the time because again, I would read comics for the covers. I didn't know stories. I didn't know artists. I never looked at the credits page. But what I found out later was that this guy named Jim Lee is apparently that's everything that I loved growing up. That was him, right? So like, okay, so this Jim Lee character that knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then it was, and then McFarlane. That Texiera, Lee, and McFarlane. And there was also this other guy named Sam Keith.
Oh man. Yeah, absolutely.
Because like my major influences are again, like John Kay from Ren and Stimpy or Norman Rockwell. Like I like the exaggerated forms, right? And Sam Keith was like, wow, he
just let his freak fly.
Yeah, he did stuff that no one else was doing in comics, and still continues to do stuff that no one else is doing.
Hey, Charles, good to see you.
But so the real wacky proportions, and and the thing is, you could tell looking at a Keith drawing that the guy knows his anatomy, because all of the muscle groups that exist in the world are there, except they're right here on the top part of the arm.
Yeah,
and you got these long tubes for the
or those massive legs.
Yeah, you got to know the rules to break the rules. You know, it's easy to tell the difference between someone who doesn't know the rules and they're just throwing art out there and it's versus someone like Sam Keith who knows how to draw and then distorts it.
And then there was this poster in that Kemp's Comic and Cars that was 5 miles away from my house that actually got me in there. It was really cool fucking poster, and it was the first time I had ever seen like digital colors that looked really good. And it was a poster drawn by that guy, Ethan Van Sciver. But it was the one with the Flash, where he's leaning over with the boot.
Yeah.
And it was like that. The colors on that thing were so cool. I was like, that's fucking awesome. I've never seen a comic look like that. Like the colors fucking blew me away, dude. I was like, that's great. That's
amazing. Now, let's talk about writing for a second. As in story, a frequent topic we talk about is what makes a good story, and not just I really like this story. Well, what made it good?
When you follow the rules of good storytelling.
Well, and that's what we talk about is what are those rules? I firmly believe that to be a good writer, you need to do some prerequisite stuff before you ever write. One, become a good listener. Ernest Hemingway said, this young kid said, I want to be a writer. Can you give any tips? He said, no. He said, come hang out with me. And the kid came down and they went fishing and whatever. And he told him while they were on this trip, listen to conversations around you. Listen to the way people talk. I mean, really talk, not how writers think they should talk. And then learn to hear that dialogue in your head when you're creating your characters. And then you've got people like, Hemingway was this way too, but Steinbeck, where his short, succinct sentences, say what you want to say, but don't use billion-dollar words to get there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, all that's wonderful. But I believe you need to be a good listener and you need to read. And as you read things, some of it's going to speak to you, some of it's not. The stuff that doesn't, there's a reason it doesn't, so don't read it. But the stuff that does speak to you, you need to ask yourself, what is it about this writer that appeals to me? And what can I take from that and add to my arsenal that I can bring to bear?
Well, that's why I love Chris Willett stuff so damn much. You know, and he said that, I listen to people. Because I asked him, I was like, dude, how do you do dialogue? Because each of his characters has their own personality. And I mean, Correct. It feels like you know, something you would get out of life. And that's what he's doing. He's just drawing from life.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's kind of, and that's my writing stance. Do all of that before you ever try to write your first thing. And then when you do write, apply that. So, John, what is your approach to what makes a good story?
My approach is to think about what you're doing. Do it. And then after you do it, chew on it. Sit back. Don't just say, I did it. That's the way I had it in my head. I'm a stream of consciousness writer. No, sit back. Do your stream of consciousness writing.
Yes.
Sit back and think about what you just done did.
Critically
important. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
There's this scene that I like to talk about. And there's this scene from a show that I love called Futurama. And I love them because they have these multi-layered jokes, right? And there's a courtroom scene. And it's a wacky show. So the lawyer is a big chicken. He's a hyper chicken, is what he calls himself. And he's a country chicken. He talks like Colonel Sanders.
Southern seersucker.
Yeah. So the judge says, I don't know, not having your main witness show up for your defense is an extra risky strategy. And the chicken says, excuse me, sir, did you say extra crispy recipe? And the judge looks at him and says, I didn't. And it's great because lawyers always try to find some little technicality to get off on, right? And because, extra risky strategy, he's a chicken, extra crispy recipe, that might be racist in some way.
Right.
And I was rolling. And it's not a joke that's not a joke that you just think of. That's something that you disassemble from the beginning and reassemble over and over again to get to that brilliant joke,
Yeah.
So you have to have your initial thoughts, but go back and see what else can you add, especially in art.
Or take away.
Go go do your scene, right? But then think to yourself, you know, this is in the your sketching phase, right? Your layouts phase. How can I tell this gag, this comic gag, right, more succinctly? Can I get rid of this panel? Do I need to show them doing this? How can I make whatever it is that I'm telling you as impactful as possible?
Right.
Condensed.
Yep.
Punch it up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
And
my approach to writing is that go do your writing, however free you want to be with your writing, but dude, go back and do it again. Read it again, chew on it, take your fucking tea to the porch, think about your story, chew on it for a while, and then make the changes. Kill your baby.
Over my right shoulder here is a little burgundy chair that used to sit in my waiting room at my practice. And that's my think about it chair. When I was painting, I would do a painting, and when I got to a stopping point, I would sit in that chair, drink coffee, and just stare at the painting and weigh what's working, what's not working, what changes can I make, and you repaint it in your mind before you ever pick up the brush and go back to it. And it's the same thing with writing, like you said. You know, you've got to let it sit, let it sit for a while, come back to it, read it again, stare at it. Let your sensibilities kind of guide you through it, certainly. But don't be afraid, like John said, you got to kill your baby.
That's what's the spaghetti method. Cook it and throw it, see what sticks. But this is the problem. People will cook it and throw it and then cook something else. No. You gotta look and see what sticks.
Yeah.
You gotta think about it for a while. You gotta say, okay, that does work, but can it be better?
Yeah. Exactly.
Chrissy, do you experience the same thing with satire? Do you have to like stew on it a little bit?
No, everything is perfect the second we crap it out.
The thing is, you got to take your time with this shit, because once you get to the art portion of it, that's going to take a while, and you're committed now.
Yeah.
You know, like, so make sure that your story is what you want to say before you make the commitment of jumping to the step that takes the most time investment.
Yeah, and I don't know if you do this, John, but I actually write myself a script.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stick to that script as closely as I can, unless there's something that not working visually. Okay, that worked great in a story, but it's not working on the page. I'll change that. But otherwise, you know, you can't just, okay, I've got a great story, I'll just make it up as I go and draw it. That's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Right.
At least for me.
The more you have set in stone before you start drawing.
Well, what's your process? Do you do like thumbnails? Do you do a script? Do you write into the thumbnails, or what exactly is your process?
I write my scripts. No, I don't write a script. I write the story.
Okay.
As if it were like a novel, right?
Oh,
I write that out. I write it out in one big long paragraph without any spaces. Okay. Because I'm not a writer. I'm sorry. I don't.
Okay.
When I write my stuff, I don't capitalize. I don't punctuate. But so I'll do that, and then once I have my story, my complete story finished, not a script, just a complete story. There it is. Okay. Then I'll go straight to layouts.
Okay.
And I'll lay out that story, and in my layouts, that's when I'll start fine tuning the story itself. Like, well, you know what? I could probably, whatever I'm describing here, I could show that in just one scene. That doesn't have to be 2 scenes. It doesn't have to be 3 scenes, you know, or whatever. And that's what I'll do. And then my layouts are more like my finished script. Then from my layouts, I'll start going to my penciling process.
Where does your dialogue come from, John?
People I know. That's it.
So once again, it goes back to listening.
Listening to people. Are you
thing
hearing
is, like,
me, boys
when you were
and girls?
talking earlier,
Listen.
When you were talking earlier about that stuff, it to me, it's being self-aware, and I don't know. I don't even know how you would get more self-aware, other than, you know, the practices of recording yourself and watching and listening. But
which is valid.
The art dies, right? That people say the art dies when you become a professional. Meaning, like with anything in the world, like my kid right now, she really loved being bendy. She wanted to be a contortionist.
Okay.
And the journey to becoming bendy the journey to be able to do a backwards bend and walk, or just, be able to fold herself up and hide into a cupboard or whatever she does. That is the art part, right? Now, once you become sufficiently bendy, it's no longer fun. The fun has to then move from practicing the thing, which is no longer fun, to getting accolades for being good at the thing. That's where the fun comes in now.
Interesting.
So if you're an artist and you're practicing to become good or whatever, and then you are good, practicing is no longer fun. You're not learning, whatever. I don't know how to draw a barrel, but now I do know how to draw a barrel. So now drawing a barrel is not fun. But
so the fun is in the journey.
Yes. So the fun now becomes somebody paying me money to do that barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm having fun again. Okay. Or somebody telling me that barrel you drew, that's exactly how I pictured a barrel in my head. That's right. Yeah, thank you. Now it's become fun. The accolades from being good at the thing you're doing.
Interesting.
That's why you get trophies as a kid, because you're no longer practicing, but now you're good at something and you won.
You're doing.
What do you win? You don't win. The winning doesn't, do it for you. Being better than somebody else and getting a trophy, that does it for you.
John Dillard once famously said to me, "It's not enough that I win; you must also lose."
I didn't say that. That's from a movie.
Okay. All right.
That's how I feel.
You quoted it to me. All right. We reached that point of the show, boys and girls, where we're going to wrap things up here. John, anything you want to steer people toward?
Yeah, there's a book funding right now that I drew on Indiegogo called Pencils Down. It's currently in the funding process. I would appreciate it if you go give that a look-see, see if you like it. And if
Pencils Down, over on Indiegogo.
Yeah. You'll notice it has like a buff pencil guy on a cover. Yeah. That's the one.
Tanner, can you find that link and drop it for me? Indiegogo.
If you see it and it's something you like, consider backing it. If you don't want to back it and you still like it, consider sharing it out.
Absolutely right.
And if you don't like it at all, you're under no obligation to share it or back it. That's okay. Maybe the next thing I do, you will like.
Right.
But like I said, you have to, and that's I got to be honest here. Like, I think the main route that people need to go through next is the advertising aspect of doing indie comic books, because that's where I think everybody universally is failing. Universally is advertising what they have. They're not out there with their stuff at a swap meet. Think of a swap meet as like, okay, you got your pants at the swap meet, but it would be really great if you got your pants into Kmart or Walmart, where people go to buy pants. You know what I mean? Like, not just
go to that swap meet.
So, like, if the more people that see your stuff, the more likelihood that you are actually going to strike a chord with someone that resonates with your stuff.
Right.
And the spaces are just too small. I think setting aside amounts of money to advertise is going to be the way forward, because I think we kind of hit the apex of what can be done by just doing, because you said earlier, I don't like that stuff. I just want to do my comics, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, that doesn't work. I just want to sell my pants. I just want to sit out here in my garage and sell my pants.
Exactly.
Is that really going to work?
Exactly right.
So,
Yeah. I see it. I call it a necessary evil, but just because I don't enjoy it. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to do it. You got to get out there. You got to go on other people's shows, and look into marketing. I mean, the more marketing sense you've got, the better off you're going to be. Carrie wants to know, John, did you see Omer Glitch's fan art for Pencils Down?
I have not seen it. I would like to see it.
I have not yet either.
Send me a DM. I'll take it out. Or is Omer Glitch on Twitter? I can find him.
I assume I'm talking to Joe, not Mo and Joe of Abo Grizz. Great product, great people, and they've got a better handle on the advertising thing than I'll ever have.
You can do it.
You can do it. Hey, is that Dario? Dario wants us to meet backstage with you and I, John. So,
all
yeah,
right,
we'll set something up. In the meantime, Tanner, anything you want to promote?
No.
Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah,
hey,
it does.
let Chris know I sent him a friend request over on Facebook.
Okay.
Because Doc Blaylock is not what I am on Facebook. I'm Christopher Blaylock over there. So just let him know that's me.
Okay.
I didn't say you were perfect. I said you're way better at it than I am. You guys are on point. I love y'all's stuff. And they're great guests. I'm going to have you guys on soon. I'm just waiting on you to let me know when. Christy.
Yeah, please come on the show.
Yeah.
Shield something.
I always have something to shill because, Flip City, it's a quarterly published magazine. So we always have to sell. And that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. So I'm going to piggyback on what Dillard said about marketing and just really encourage all the indies out there to not get discouraged when marketing. I've had so many doors slammed in my face. Very rude shit said to me, and got really demoralized over the years, and then keep picking myself back up directly by the crotch. And so because that's where it hurt.
I don't want that visual in my life, Christy, but thank you for that.
But one of my favorite marketing things to do, and I encourage if anybody has the way to do this, is give something away free and get somebody's email, because then you have a direct contact to contact people and pester them until they unsubscribe or finally from your email list. And try to be fun when marketing too.
Yeah. Yeah. And remember, the answer is always no until you ask.
Oh, but my point was we have a free magazine. So go to flipcitymag.com and click on that free magazine and check it out, because we guarantee laughs.
It is. It's hilarious. I've seen it.
Absolutely
I love it.
Good stuff. Okay, Christy's about to turn back into a pumpkin. She has her timer set to get that.
That was really weird, because it was somebody that I was talking to a while back about magazine circulation, and he's calling me out of the blue. He's like, "Give me money."
Oh, okay. All right. So, and also I'm your host. I'm Doc Blaylock. I've got a campaign that's a storefront. It's still open over on Fund My Comic, a damn dirty thing. It's beginning to get into people's hands, and the reviews are coming in, and it seems to be well received. I think you'll like it.
Oh, it's a brilliant book. Yeah. Well, and I'm not just saying that because I'm your co-host. I own it.
and I appreciate it. So yeah, if you get the opportunity, get over there, give it a look. Listen, I went out of my way to keep that thing cheap. $7 for the comic, $9 for the novella. I can't do it any cheaper than that and still afford to mail it to you. So get on over there and grab a copy. Of course, you get a digital for $4 if you want it. And every little thing you can do to help me produce this book is absolutely appreciated. I hope so too, Carrie. I'm given to understand that the international stuff is going out this week. So Carrie's across the pond. This should be headed your way. Now, quick update on the mugs. I said this on one stream. I'll say it here also, just to update. We had a glitch on my neighbor prints the mugs for me. I forget what the process is called, but she accidentally printed more of the Pariah mugs instead of the Jake Bishop mugs. And I reached out to her. She said, "Oh, I wasn't supposed to do that." I said, "No." It said same terms, ? From me. In other words, is this what I'm paying? Yes, that's what you pay. Okay. Well, she took that to mean print the same thing. No. So now the process is I've got to take these mugs she just printed, ship them up to Anthony so he can warehouse them, and use that same container that we use to ship back and forth to load more blanks, mail it back down to me. I'll walk it across the street, give it to my neighbor, and she will print the new ones, and then I will mail those out myself. I'm not going to send them back to Anthony and add another step. I will go ahead and mail them directly from here. So yeah, that's where we're at with the mugs. The sketch cards I will do post haste and have those out. I got to do 20 sketch cards, you guys. 20.
It's a lot of sketch cards.
Apparently, Carrie sent you a picture of the pencils down artwork.
Let me go over here. Okay, there it is. And it's not bad. It's out of focus, but I will share here because Carrie can get right demanding. You better share that shit, Doc.
I mean, she went through all the panic of going and finding it really fast and sending it to you.
Yeah, so there we go. Get the lead out. Time to get the lead out, it says.
Like it.
Well done, Omar Glitch. She said I had to hurry to find that. All right, guys, with that, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank you for tuning in. We're here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. We always try to have good, entertaining guests who can also bring a little enlightenment to what it is we do here. So my next Clumsy Brit unboxing could be yours, Doc. Well, I look forward to it. In the meantime, I hope everyone has a great day. Tanner, play us out of here.
Look, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm tired of talking to you.
And don't think it hasn't been a little slice of heaven, because it hasn't.
Well, what do you know? I finally got the last word.
Good night.